Right, here with Hamlet, and we've been having a bit of a route around the Muzu vaults, and we found a brilliant clip, didn't we?
Yeah, that was pretty spectacular, to be honest.
Russell Harty interviewing David Bowie in 1974.
To be honest, when I saw the name in the library, it's gone, Harty interviewing Bowie, just go whatever. But when you watch it, oh my god, I'm amazed I haven't seen that before, because that's an iconic clip waiting to happen.
I think TV gold really is the phrase we should be using.
Yeah, completely. Wow.
And I think it goes back to that point where, you know, in the 70s, I remember, you know, growing up as a kid, there wasn't MTV, there wasn't that. So the only place these people get interviewed was on things like regional TV and Russell Harty. But there's a definite tension in there, isn't there?
Completely. Yeah, like you can tell. I mean, he's pushing him. Harty's pushing Bowie. I'd almost wonder if it's a bit of a respect thing, because he probably thinks he can take it. You know.
Well, Harty was. I mean, he was the big interview.
Yeah.
I mean, go and see the clips. It's brilliant. But basically, it's a transatlantic thing. Bowie's in LA. There's great old TV, sat at
big
table,
wooden box,
packet of smokes,
ashtray, big bendy microphone.
It's brilliant. And then there's Bowie
with the earpiece.
So 75, it's post-Siggy, we think it's kind of young Americans, post Aladdin Sane. And it's just brilliant. He's about to come back to England to be English.
It's amazing. That is literally one of the best interviews I have ever seen. It's insane.
It's funny though. Well.
It's funny, it's incisive. Bowie's throwing it back at him. It's almost like, I wonder, could you get away with it now? You probably could, but
I don't think a star of that magnitude will put up with it. You know, it's the MTV, it's the press shots, it's the kind of, you know, everything's carefully, and that's just seen for. And he lights up a tab.
That's right.
Starts puffing away.
Has a drink.
Yeah.
And Harty asks him to spray it down the satellite, and he goes, no.
Yes. And if we just look at, you know, that period, I mean, you'd be a Bowie fan. Yeah? I mean, to me, I'm not massively Bowie, but went to see him at Glastonbury in 90 something, and just did the greatest hits, and I thought, respect him.
He's amazing. Honestly, there's a couple of reasons I'm a fan, and I think Bowie's one of those artists that you have to be careful saying you're a fan, because they'll turn around to someone and go, I'm a Bowie fan, and they just like, they live it, and they know everything, and you go, I'm not a Bowie fan. I know nothing. These people live it, but the thing for me, Space Oddity was the first cover version I ever learned. When I was trying to get my head around music, I was listening to songs, and I didn't know enough to know what was an easy and what was a hard song. Yeah. So I picked one of the most hardest songs you could learn. It's just ridiculous. And I remember when I first started, someone told me he was a light baritone, and that's what I am. So I thought, hey, you know, I'm just like David Bowie. So I started listening. Yeah, exactly. I started listening to his material and I go, this man's incredible. This man is incredible. Yeah.
I mean, that period, so we're saying we went from Ziggy Stardust to Pin-Ups to Aladdin Sane, Young American. He did Low and Heroes in the same year.
It is insane. It really is insane. You know, I think a lot of musicians kind of have their own battles and what they're good at and what they're bad at. One of the things I love about Bowie is, if you look at him as a musician, he gives you permission to do everything you want, because he's already done it. Do you know what I mean? You can kind of do pop, which he's done. You can go with your conservative side, or you can fight your own conservatism and just go absolutely mental and ride around in the back of a Nazi Mercedes if you want.
He's had his moments, isn't he, of ill-advised drum and bass.
Yeah. Do you know what? I like that. I didn't listen to a lot of it, but I did like it. One thing I remember, when I was 16, even before I started playing music, I ended up working with bands and going on tour and working on all the big bands that came to Ireland, and I did a Bowie gig, and this was in 1990, and he was rehearsing in the factory where the company I worked for had their office, and he was walking around, and I was kind of going, you know, I wasn't really clued in with music at the time, 16, you know, knew a bit about him, but I tell you what, he was uncool. He was uncool then. I think a lot of people forget that.
He did go through 80s. Yeah, no,
he was desperately uncool. But it's come back around.
Is that post? Because Let's Dance was 82, and he was.
This is like 89.
Yeah.
90, you know.
Glass Spider. Then yeah.
To be honest,
think you could possibly say.
Yeah. Tin Machine. Yeah. Okay.
Tin Machine.
Yeah. 2 words to send a shiver down your spine.
But the best bit, and the interesting about it is that interview is he just keeps saying, "What are you going to wear?"
Yeah.
Do you know, it was like he was, because he had all these characters and did all these things, that the music and him as a musician got forgotten.
I think so.
And Harty keeps prodding him, doesn't he? And sort of enough from the Bay City Rollers.
I know, yeah, it's gas, isn't it? But I wonder, to someone like Harty, is that just what he saw? You know, he looked at Bay City Rollers and go, right, these guys, pop music, crazy costumes, David Bowie, pop music, crazy costumes. Probably, I wonder at the time.
Well, if you go on the site as well, you can find there's a clip of him getting battered by Grace Jones.
of Harty.
Yeah.
But he deserved it for Bowie's interview. That alone he deserved it for.
So, to sum up, not a Russell Hart. Bowie yes, Harty no.
100%. Bowie yes, Harty no. Completely.
Brilliant. Let's have a look. This is Russell Harty versus David Bowie.